So what is Revelation? Is Revelation in our future, or was it in their future 2,000 years ago? The first paragraph of Revelation says, "The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants what must soon take place, and the time is near." Now, Revelation was written 2,000 years ago. Soon, and the time is near, 2,000 years ago does not mean today or thousands of years in our future. Must soon take place does not mean far in the distant future, and the time is near does not mean the time is far off in the distant future. This is one of those verses in the New Testament showing the end time and second coming was in the generation of the disciples. Let's take a closer look. An angel was sent by God, would testify to everything John would see. And who are the servants being shown the revelation? John, who was in the Spirit, heard a loud voice. The voice was from God, the Alpha and the Omega, the one who is, who was, and who is to come, the living one, the first and the last. And in a loud voice like a trumpet, he told John to write on a scroll what he would see and send it to the 7 churches, which were Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. Now, why is this important? It's because the message was to the 7 churches about the things that would soon take place, and the time was near for them. So if you were one of those members of the congregation, what would you think? If you were listening to the sermon, you would certainly think that the time was near for you and things were soon to take place. Now, Revelation was written in the 1st century, likely in AD 69, because there was no mention of the temple destruction. Now, how do you think those congregations in the 7 churches really understood soon to take place and the time is near? It's not wise to assume they were all mistaken and assume Revelation was about an event thousands of years in the future. That's entirely out of context. In addition, the last words of Revelation say, "I warn everyone who hears the words of prophecy of this book, if anyone adds anything to them, God will add to them the plagues described in this book. And if anybody takes away from this book of prophecy, God will take away from him his share in the tree of life and in the holy city, which are described in this book." So it's not wise to just assume must soon take place means must take place in the far distant future, and that the time is near does not mean the time is far off. Now, Revelation is not alone in this assertion. Jesus and the disciples said over and over again the end time, last days, end days, and second coming would occur in the near future of the apostles and disciples 2,000 years ago. Now, I have a PDF showing many verses, 67 of them that I have counted, and it's not even complete, that show intent of a 1st century end time and return of the Lord 2,000 years ago. The list isn't complete. It shows consistency. There's no contradictions. Now, this is the list, and you can actually download it from my website. So nowhere in the New Testament does it say that the end time is in the distant future. Now, I'm going to read to you 3 verses, 3 examples, showing the end time was in the future, near future of the apostles. So, on Matthew 10:23, Jesus said to his 12 apostles, "You shall not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man comes." And Jesus in Matthew 16:27-28 said to his disciples, "There are some of those standing here who shall not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." And then also in Matthew 24:34, Jesus said to his disciples, "This generation will not pass away until all of these things take place." So we have a real problem. Most of us believe the end time and second coming has not yet happened, so we rationalize it must be in our future. The New Testament says it is in their near future 2,000 years ago. But those are polar opposites. Most of us believe the end time and second coming is in our future, but the popular belief and consistent New Testament theme are in total contradiction. They're a total dichotomy. On one hand, we have a Bible doctrine and theme that the end time is in the generation of the disciples before all of them pass away. It's repeated over and over again throughout the New Testament. On the other hand, we believe the second coming and return of Jesus Christ is in our future. So Christians who believe in the historical Bible have a real dilemma. We know the Bible cannot contradict itself, so I'm suggesting you that we make way too many assumptions, and one of those assumptions is the end time in our future is a fact. We reason if the end time and second coming already happened, surely we would know. Consequently, we interpret the New Testament to fit our fact, which is actually an assumption, and assumptions can be in error. I'm suggesting you consider that the apostles and disciples were not confused and were right, and it is us who are wrong in our assumption that the end time is in our future today. If the Bible is true, then the Lord returned at the end of the age 2,000 years ago, and we are ignoring known history, and we are looking in all the wrong places. In my book, Prophecy Paradox, the case for a first century end time, I compare Jesus' predictions of the things to come to known history. And that means known written history we have that's historical 2,000 years ago. The evidence is quite convincing.